Okay, this is where we left off, another cliffhanger. Now, I knew that this drop-down's not going to work. I knew that part. I don't know why it's not loading. So I'm going to try and rule everything out. We're going to shut down the browser. I'm going to stop the server from running. In fact, I'm going to close out of Visual Studio and stop the server from running here because we're running in port 3001 because port 3000 is in use. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but it was obviously something I did. So I'm going to close out of each of those things, and then we'll reopen. So I'm going to set up the server. Now this time I want to watch it work, and so instead of doing a .NET run, I'm going to put this back to 3000, save, and then instead of doing a .NET run, I'm actually going to run it because I want to, in my water controller, I want to see what happens in this controller, in this action, when the user passes something in. All right, so I'm going to run this. Okay. Now, I'm trying to decide which is the best way to do this. I can call this, I can get all projects, and it wants a parameter saying, well, how many were there? Page, how many? So I could put something in there. Well, let's try it out. And say 3. And then it popped in 3 there. So we can watch that working. That wasn't exactly what I wanted to happen. So I'm going to leave the stop in there. And then I'm going to open Visual Studio Code, which hopefully will now be running in the right place. Okay, so I'm going to cd into front end. And let's try our npm run dev again. Port 3000 is in use. How is it in use? That's what I want to know. Okay, well, this is where the videos get exciting, right? Why is my port 3000 in use after I've shut everything down? Well, let's try. So I'm okay. We'll need to go back in here in the program CS file and change this to be 3001 again. Where the heck is Schetzler when you need him? And we're not doing the hot run, so let's run this using 3001, and then try pulling this up again. Now, what I wanted to show you, we just stopped there, and that's perfect. That's what I wanted. And so if I hover over this, it says page how many, 10. So we are getting something. What I wanted to show you was you can put in a default value. If by chance there's an error, which is what I was wondering if there was, we can say as we make the declaration, so we're going to create an int, or receive an int called page how many, but I want to put in a default of 5 here. And that way, if nothing comes through, then it will put something in that variable so we don't ever end up with an error. And so we can put a default value in here. If there's something in there, it'll take the something. If there's not anything in there, it'll take the default value. All right, so let's save that. I'm going to stop and run again. And then over here. Now, it was interesting to me that when I loaded this up, it acted like we were still in the same session. So if I do a Control-C to shut that down, but that's not the 3000. npm run dev. Okay, we'll rock with 3001. So this should have now the, let me run this, and when I get something, I should get results, and it's giving me 10 results because that's what came in the page how many. And so that is one thing that I wanted to demonstrate in this process. Page how many is taking 10, even though we didn't set anything in the drop down, what did we do? We said we were going to use this default value of 10, and so that's the thing that's being received when we make this page size request, is the 10 that was in there for the default value before we ever did anything with this. All right, so this, because we're getting something, is going to override this one. And so obviously it's probably smarter to make these consistent. We'll make the default value here 10 as well, just in case. But this is just a backup because we already have a default value built on this side. All right, that's one of the things I wanted to show a little later on. But now let's get back to what we were doing. So if I make a change here, it's not going to make any change, but we're not getting any results, and I don't know why. So let's do an F12 and go to our console. This will tell us any errors that are happening. And it's saying it failed to fetch with the fetch projects. So let's go over to our project. This is fun, huh? And follow this link. Which is going to go to HTTPS 5000, all projects, question mark, page how many is equal to whatever was in page size. And it sure doesn't look like it's going to get it. Now, maybe this has to do with the problem that I was going to get to eventually. So let's try fixing that. As the page changes, again, useEffect is only going to work when something changes. And so where I was going to go with all this is when we drop down this select option, it won't know that anything has changed unless we're looking for that. It'll change the screen to show the new option, but it doesn't detect that page size has changed. We want to put a watch and say, look, whenever page size changes, rerun this command to go up to the server and grab a request sending it the new page size. And so you might notice that here we've got a little thing saying the React hook useEffect is missing a dependency. So these are called the dependency array. So this array right here is the dependency array that tells us what to watch for in terms of data in order to recall this useEffect function. And so in here I can put page size and save that. And so now whenever it detects that page size changes, it's going to rerun this useEffect, which will go pull new data from the server using that page size. All right, make sense? So let's go try it. I've saved here. That obviously didn't work very well. And so let's refresh. Change the page size, which will trigger that change. But it sure is not finding anything at that path. Okay. That's obviously working. Okay, let me, we still have a minute. Let me see if I can figure out how to reset I don't know off the top of my head. That's why I said, where's Schetzler? How to reset the ports, how to clear the ports to make sure that I can get to that 3000. And I'm not even sure that's the issue because we've got our cores set to 3001. Okay, let me do a little research here for a minute. Okay, I'm back. I've looked up a little bit, but I'm realizing that the issue is not here. It's on this side. So this is going to take another minute to figure out. But I do want to go in and... So the reason I don't just stop and redo is it's so tough when you're recording these videos to remember where you were when you started and what you talked about and what you didn't. And so it's easier to keep rolling as we work through these errors. So I'm going to try in the next video to get this resolved and see what's going on. This is interesting. Always a new adventure. Spencer out.